Welcome to Come and See, your podcast for finding truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. With host and founder Richard Case and co-host and retreat leader Kathy Ricconi. Today is our special guest day, where we will hear from a friend of the ministry who will share their insight and stories on truth in this chaotic world. And now your host, Richard Case.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is Guest Thursday. Should be airing November 30th in preparation for the Christmas season. And the guests are Linda and I, and Dan and Kathy.
Good morning.
We love being together.
We do.
Someday we should just let you listen in on our conversation. They're pretty funny.
I absolutely want to know when we're being recorded.
Yeah, there's, when you have sweet fellowship with, people that join your inner circle, it's special. It is special.
It is.
Because first of all, we just have a lot of fun together and joy, and then we get to rejoice at listening to each other's stories of what God is up to and the special things that happen, particularly with our families and the work. And even though sometimes work can be stressful, and Dan and I both are in situations where, as I think with any business these days, nothing is easy.
Not at all.
But we trust God. So as we're discussing today, we wanted to set this up actually here at the end of November to discuss the Christmas season and the holiday season, which now has already kind of kicked off because this will be aired after, Thanksgiving. Into the month of December, New Year's, and then into January. So we know from prior experience with us personally a long time ago, as well as people around us, this actually is a season of stress. And everything changes, the financial pressure, the activity level, relationships with family particularly can be tough during this time. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that and then give some encouragement to some things that we both have learned to really enjoy the season as the celebration truly of the reason for the season, which is, Jesus came as a baby so that we could have life and have it abundantly. So first of all, let's just discuss what are some of the reasons that you observe as to why it is stressful for couples and families at Christmas.
I think one of the things we see the most is really just demands on time. Because there are so many holiday parties to go to, so many family gatherings to do, and there is that fear of missing out, and so a lot of yeses are said, sometimes more than probably should be. So there's definitely that, but then you add to that a financial strain or expectation that people just wear and kind of miss the beauty of what the giving season looks like, even because they've got expectations or someone has placed expectations on them. And that can be very difficult for families, especially young families.
Yeah, you said fear of missing out, and then you kind of, I think also this feeling of obligation to everybody now.
Mm-hmm.
Just that inability to say no, just how culture is driven.
Right.
When you say that, Dan, the feeling of obligation, what is that? What are you thinking of there? How are you defining that?
Yeah, I think we have so many connections now, and just I think people sometimes don't understand no is a legitimate response,
Right.
And we're a society of yes, and we're a society of always being available because of social media and cell phones, and the idea of actually unplugging and saying, well, no, this is time with my family or time for whatever, to refresh, is I think we've kind of lost that ability to say no to things.
Yeah. I think that's right. Anything that you see, Linda, of why it's stressful?
Well, just that a lot of people wait, till December to start Christmas shopping, and then that's just added on to everything else that you're doing, and so it just gets very difficult for people to enjoy even just doing that part of gifts, giving gifts.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing that I see in addition to that, activity level, which I think, Kathy, you said it, and Dan, time changes.
Yeah.
And now you got all these things that you got to go to and be part of. That changes, your element of time. Two is the aspect of giving at the end of the year, that you get bombarded with requests.
Right.
Partly because, in our society, it's kind of interesting enough, it's driven by tax planning. So, hey, people say that's a good time, to remind people to give because they want to give for their year end before the end of the tax year. So you get bombarded with requests, and some of them are legitimate, but as we'll talk about, how to sort that through so that becomes even a joy of where God would have you give, and particularly as you look at your tithing aspect and not letting it be a burden, but there is also an opportunity to have a joy about just giving and giving it away, and we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of the privilege of that. And then I think another thing is that the financial aspect of it does weigh because you look at all the people that you're in your circles to be giving gifts to. Literally, it can be a pretty long list. And then how do you do it, and reciprocation, so if your relatives give you a gift, or you got to give them a gift, and so then you just are overwhelmed by just even keeping up with that, of what to do and how much to do, and then the financial burden of it. So the pressure, interesting enough, the pressure comes from you're spending money by using credit cards, by the way, and I'm going to get that bill in January. I wonder how much it's going to be because you don't really keep track of it. So for that, spending. And then because of the holiday, this is a time where families do get together. And that includes the good and the bad, because there's unhealthiness and people with alcohol, people with unforgiveness are showing up. And it can get pretty tense with conflict in families where they're both not looking forward to it, but then they join into the conflict and create the stress that now the event doesn't become enjoyable at all. It actually became a very negative thing. So we can appreciate all the things that cause this. This is why this Christmas season can be so difficult. So what we'd like to do is share a little bit about some things that we've learned how to make it more enjoyable. And Kathy, if you would, let's just set it up with just reading the 23rd Psalm, the first part of the 23rd Psalm, which kind of sets up what life is supposed to be like. So go ahead and read that, Psalm 23, 1-3.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul, and he leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake.
Yeah. One thing is, and you and I, all of us have learned this, the Lord is my shepherd. So one thing we're suggesting, and we talk about this, is actually let God help you sort through what it means to be a really effective sheep during Christmas, and therefore, hey, let him shepherd and not us. And this comes back to, we'll talk about it with Dan's comment about the ability to say no, and how do you do that well, and then live out the life of it. But he says, I want to make you rest in a green pasture. Green pasture is luscious, plush, beautiful, very pleasant. How can we enjoy the pleasantness of Christmas, one, and rest in it? And then he restores our souls. And what Linda and I and you guys do is we don't look at this as a time of stress and hope it gets over. We actually looking at it as a time of refreshment. Is what a thrill to be refreshed at the very special time of year particularly for us, we're maybe unique, a little bit unique, but decorations are kind of important,
Right.
and it reminds you of the refreshment and the beauty of it. So we enjoy that. So as we look at how we can set it up differently, we're going to just talk about a few practical things, and let's start with your tradition that you do the day after. We talked a little bit about this when we celebrated Thanksgiving last week, but talk a little bit more about how you've set that up as a tradition and actually use that as the beginning point of refreshment. Because I know it's special for you and your family, and I know your family is excited about it. Tell us about that and how that works.
So, so the day after Thanksgiving, that Friday, is our decorating day. And that's actually become kind of a bigger family day than Thanksgiving. We have adult children, they're married. And actually, one thing that's nice about that is we've opened, Thanksgiving Day, we understand our kids are, they can go to the in-laws or whatever the obligations they have. And so that takes some pressure off of them. They don't feel guilty.
They feel like they have to run around.
Yeah, we want them to enjoy it too. And then, so they'll, come over that night. And then, that next day is just our day. We do plan it, we prep. We're kind of planners and organized. So all the boxes will come up and be ready, and we kind of have the day lined out. So that it can be fun and not stressful. We put up a lot of decorations, so it doesn't have to all happen that next day. We would.
Most of it does.
Most of it does. Well, we got some good helping hands now.
Yeah.
They're adults, but so most of it. But anything that doesn't get wrapped up, we still, kind of wrap up in the evening and make sure we have time to relax around the fire, watch a movie, and just enjoy.
So the day itself kicks off with, like you said, Thanksgiving night, we'll actually get everybody here. So when they wake up in the morning, we'll go and we'll cut down, because we do a live tree in the family room. So we'll cut that tree down together, and then come set it up and let it fall out. And then, like you said, we will have had brought up from the basement. We have a ridiculous amount of decorations in the basement. But everything has a place, and it's very well organized and well labeled.
Yes, I believe that.
It will be set up so that literally, it'll be set up in each room so that we can take rooms and just blast the room together. And we'll be playing Christmas music. We'll have appetizers out. We'll have favorite snacks, all of this sort of thing. The fire will be going. And then kind of the grand finale is, once all the rooms are blasted, is for everyone to do the family tree. And the family tree has like all of the ornaments from when the kids were little. And it's got like photos of them through the years, from tiny, all the way up. And the craft ornaments that you are like almost embarrassed to put on your tree, but it's a memory of them making, those are all on that tree. So that's a fun, everybody works on that tree together. And then we'll have a Christmas movie going, and s'mores and hot chocolate, and all the things. So all the feels are good. And then the other part of that is that evening is when we actually, Dan does the Christmas, is it Christmas Vacation? Is that the name of the movie?
No.
What's the one where he turns the lights on, but you don't blow out the neighborhood lights?
Yeah, Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, Christmas Vacation. So he is Chevy Chase. So Clark,
That's the actor's Chevy Chase, the character.
Clark Griswold.
I don't want to be Chevy Chase, but I'll be Clark Griswold.
Yeah.
And so that night, for the first time, he'll turn on all our outdoor lights. And so even in the planning and the precursor, we're taping this right now, what is it, October? We will start this weekend putting up Christmas lights outside. And we'll have, 3 Saturdays set aside before, we don't turn them on, so nobody panic, we're not those people. But because it takes so long to get them all up, we will start and plan it out early so that we have set days, so that the night after Thanksgiving, he flips a switch and everything is suddenly Christmas.
Oh, fun.
Yep. So you're preparing now, pacing that, knowing that that's kind of a big deal, and you kind of get that in a sense out of the way prior to your Friday session after Thanksgiving. It's all just ready. You just got to flip the switch.
Yep.
And see if you lower the electricity of your town that day.
Oh, our electric bill is high in December. It
Yeah.
is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that. That's kind of cool. So that, again, as they're discussing it, it's really thinking through how do you do it well with family or prepare to get ready for the decoration. So you're not spending the time in December that's going to be decorating, because your time is going to change in December. So that's kind of a thing that can get ready and just figure out a way, to do that. For us, we actually start in November with inside and outside decorations. We have to bring trees up. We have one 12-foot tree in our family
Huge.
room that
Huge.
takes two of us. We actually have a handyman that has to help me set up the trees because they're so big and they're so heavy. And that one is so tall that we actually have to secure it with a wire at the top to the wall, basically, because otherwise it'll fall over.
Yeah.
Done that before.
So that's an interesting one. And then Linda, we get some help with Linda, but how do you get ready to prepare for the decorations and just make it so that it's done before all the time constraint hits?
Well, like Kathy, I have every bedroom all figured out, and so I just take the totes. The bedrooms have small trees, and all the ornaments are in each individual closet, so I just pull everything out, and I just start one bedroom at a time, and so I do those first, because it's quick to get something done and I feel like I've accomplished something.
Good job, I like it.
And then on the main level, because it's so much, I get help and have them come and they help me decorate the trees and decorate the house, and so that's kind of how I do it. So I do plan it out, but I'll start probably the 14th of this year, because we're doing filming the first week of November. I will start taking bedrooms at a time, and then these trees will be put up, and then I'll have somebody is coming on the 16th to just finish the house.
Yep. So for us, it's by Thanksgiving, we actually have our decorations up, and then just convert that main table, and then we're done for the whole month of December. And we just enjoy it so much. And Linda particularly always is trying to make it special. And this year, Joshua, as we've talked through with Joshua's in Baylor, Texan now, and he's a kind of a true cowboy.
He is a true
cowboy hats,
the boots, the belt, the plaid shirts,
and he likes writing and all those things. So this year, Linda says, we used to have his tree be more of a sports tree with baseball and that kind of stuff, which he liked. Linda said, he's become a cowboy. Let's make the little Christmas tree cowboy decorations. And so we worked already to get some, and he'll be surprised when he comes, because it'll be a whole new tree for him that'll be specially geared to him. And Linda, I think that's part of the refreshing, isn't it, for you, that you get a thrill out of thinking through what would be special.
I love doing that. I do love that
for people and doing it. So that's kind of a fun thing. So one thing we would just urge everybody would be, if decorations are an important part of your life for December, is to plan that now and either have it done or get ready to be done early, so you can at least enjoy it, one, but also it just doesn't create any more stress of things. And then how you do it doesn't need to be stressful. You guys plan it out ahead of time. We plan it out ahead of time. We don't want the actual decorating to be overstressed itself, and so come up with a way to enjoy that. And then as you look at the Christmas season, which for you, kicks off the day after Thanksgiving through New Year's, how do you approach your calendar? And how are you able to schedule as well as say no? And then how do you say no? And then we could weigh in on that as well. But how do you set it up so you can actually enjoy the month?
So one of the things we did, when did we do this? August or September. We already put our rocks in place. We coordinated with the kids and found out there are certain things. New England being New England, there's so many wonderful Christmas things to do around here. Little town festivals and just little light walks that are through the woods and all these kind of things. And they're on set dates that you can already find out. So we actually sent out a big text to the kids and said, there's certain things that we absolutely always do as traditions. And so we sent them the dates of those, and we went ahead and put those dates on our calendar, knowing those are non-negotiables, not for the kids. They have the option to join us, but they are on our calendar. Those are in place and they will trump any invitation. So that's part of it. We set the things we know we want to be important, and then we coordinated with the kids so that they can go ahead and join in on the things that are super important to them as well. And that helps, just knowing that ahead of time, because then you kind of like, as we've gotten older, both of us, I think, probably more of a learning curve for me, but have learned our capacity is not what it used to be.
Yes.
That we need to pull back more and be able to just be at home more than we used to be willing to do if we want to feel refreshed in the midst of it. And so this is a way to help us manage that. There are things we absolutely don't want to give up and miss out on. And so if that means we have a couple things on the calendar this week and something else comes up, it's a pretty easy no for us.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, because I know we are definitely planners. I know there are people out there that want to be a lot more spontaneous than we are, and I get that. But when we plan and don't over plan, that gives the freedom to, oh yeah, we can say yes to that last minute. That does sound fun. We're going to jump into that.
And that would be refreshing. Yeah.
Versus, I think for me anyway, it would just feel like this obligation I really want to say no to, but I probably should say yes to. So that does free us up to be a little more.
Setting those non-negotiable things that we really are important to us in place lets us then kind of navigate the rest of it. If we, like you said, if we want to jump into something and we're feeling like we have the bandwidth and God says do it, then we absolutely can, and we're not going to be sacrificing the things that are most important to us to do it, because we've made those set.
That's a great idea.
We talk about not wanting to do as much. I think that's kind of true, but like when we had young kids at home, that was a different season.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had to plan around that. Now that we're more empty nesters, we actually have a little more bandwidth, but we have to kind of plan around that. When grandkids come, the season you guys are in, that's going to be different. So it's, I think, for the listeners, it's different. Yeah, it's different priorities, different holes in your time in every different season.
Yeah.
But identifying what's most important to you, what you really want to do, will give you a place just to put those rocks in place.
Yeah. So I think we do the same thing. It's just we identify the important dates. We might have a business, like Dan, you probably have a business party you got to host, and things that you want to go see, and we do that. We get our schedule out of any plays or concerts we want to go to, things that are important for our family to be part of, with grandchildren doing something. Aiden's a drummer, so he's in the holiday, doing holiday in play at the school, which he's actually kind of a facilitator, leader of the band for that. So we'll go watch him. That'll be a day we got to go watch, and like you say, just get the absolutes down and set them and set them, in a nice sequence. And then what we do for saying no, because we'll get a lot more requests, we'll just say, our calendar, we can't do it. Our calendar's full at the moment. Maybe we could get together after the holidays sometime, and we don't have to over-explain it. You don't have to justify it. It's just, gosh, we're full and we'd love to come, but we can't. And interesting enough, we've discovered people are okay with that.
Yeah.
And by the way, when we do it the other direction, if we're inviting somebody, hey, could you come to, we're hosting a little party, and they say, gosh, our calendar is full, we can't, we don't feel bad about that. I mean, it doesn't, we know we're not being rejected. It's just their schedule's full. We can appreciate that. So I would just say, use the no more judiciously, and don't be afraid to use it, and make sure it doesn't crunch your time with it, and we plan it out. And by the way, one thing that we said, and I think you guys do the same, we love watching Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Like Christmas Vacation, Miracle on 34th Street, Christmas Carol. These are things that we really enjoy, and we schedule these during the month with our family, what we call movie night, and we happen to have a nice little theater that we get to watch it in. So we schedule these things to just say tonight, all we're going to do is just hang out together and watch a movie, and we got a popcorn machine, and Linda makes dinner and stuff, so it's kind of fun. As we also, one thing that we do, Linda actually is a promoter of this, because of, and we sort through, who we're going to give to, and we talk about that, and what we do is, where do we see God at work? And we want to support that at the end of our year-end giving, if it's extra, and we're happy to do that. But we don't just give for the sake of giving. We really get in sync with where does God want us to give and be faithful to that, and we are, and we enjoy that and get to see it. But one thing Linda does is she actually she goes to the bank and she gets a bunch of cash, carries it with her, and then every day during the time she's out, particularly when we're shopping, she'll pray about, is there anybody, God, you want us to assist? And it can be real personal. And we had just a simple example. We were in Walmart shopping actually for our grandkids. And Linda, this is Linda, she was purposely in tune with that. And tell that little story just briefly, and then I'll weigh in on that.
Oh, there was a little boy down one of the aisles with toys, and he had this toy, and he was hugging it and holding on to it and just kind of rocking, and I just kind of noticed that. And so I went over there and I said, you really like that toy, don't you? And he says, yes. I said, I bet you would like something like that for Christmas. And he said, I would, but my dad said we can't afford this, and so I can't get it. And so I go, okay, stay right here. So I go find Rich, and I go, Rich, you got to come with me. So we go find the little boy, and we say, okay, we want to go find your dad, so help us find your dad. So the dad is up by the cash register, and so we come up there, and we said, we'd really like to buy this present for your son. Is that okay? And he said, yes, that's okay. So while we're checking out, his older brother is in the background, so I didn't quite pay attention. But at any rate, as we're talking and waiting to pay everything to get out, I asked him, do you guys go to church? And the father says, oh yes, we do. And the son says, oh no, we don't. So I said, you know what? The Lord really would like to bless you like this. I think you need to consider going back to church.
Yeah. So then we check out, and we go into the car, and it hits Linda,
Oh my gosh, I forgot the older boy.
We didn't do anything for the older boy who's standing there too, and we got to go do something. Well, I said, okay. So I
go run around the parking lot, because they had already come out too, and so I'm trying to find them, and I do find them, and I find the boy, and I said, hey, I think you probably want something too. And he says, I really would. So I said, come on, we're going back in. We're going back into the store. And so we went and bought him something too.
Yeah. So it just, again, as you look at, the Christmas opportunity, is that, the generosity, there's people that are disadvantaged. There's nothing greater for me personally than seeing the ability to help a kid have a little joy, at Christmas, So it's not something we go out and have to do every day, but we are led, and Linda particularly has that heart, and we find great joy in that, to enjoy it, so that we don't just buy presents for the sake of presents, but where can we assist? So as we look at the opportunity this Christmas, we just urge everybody to prepare ahead of time on your decorations. Plan your month out and say no, and then when you're going with a family who are going to particularly maybe be difficult and conflict, just go to God and have a heart of forgiveness, and recognize that you don't need to join in the conflict during that time together, just go and say, you know what, I'm going to do the best job to just enjoy them as best we can, not let them get under our skin, and hopefully that we can have a positive time with our family. And of course, for us, we don't have those conflicts, but others do. And just pray that you really learn to say no, you learn to schedule your time, learn to get through the conflict, and then at the end of it, and I know you do, and maybe you could end this with us, as you look back, how can you guys rejoice and say, you know what, we had a great month and it was spectacular and we really love Christmas. How can you, as you look back at that, how can you guys do that?
Yeah, it's funny you wanted to end on that because this was knocking around my head a little bit. A trap I can fall into is every year I want to make it more spectacular. Especially lens, okay, we're going to add this, we're going to versus surrendering that God will make it spectacular. He wants to be spectacular.
Yes.
He wants to bless you. He wants to, show you how amazing He is and how much He loves you. But I'll try to hijack that. Mm-hmm. And so, you can look back and it's really spectacular because you didn't do a couple of the things that you thought was going to.
There you go.
Or God has a whole other plan, or that falls through and He replaces it with something you never would have. So trying not to hijack that, just listening to God, and surrendering that to God, I think is important and something that I have to remind myself of.
Yeah. The other thread I would say is throughout the season, keeping a heart of gratitude. I think just posturing ourselves, recognizing who the gifts and the blessings are from, who the relationships are from, all of these things, just keeping our focus upward and just in gratitude of what He's doing in and through our families and in our lives, keeps the joy right in the middle.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And one thing we do is we keep our abiding time steady. We don't take a break from that. We do it every day, including even Christmas Day, that we just spend time with God. As Dan said, let Him lead you and guide us. And think about what's going to bring joy, set it up that way, and then at the end of it, as you go into the new year, evaluate. How did we do? Did we enjoy it? Where didn't we enjoy it? Keep tweaking it. We've done that over the years. You've done that over the years. Just like Dan said, is that, one danger that we actually think, hey, I could add this spectacular stuff, and actually it just adds a burden to the rest of us. So it's kind of a neat thing to do. So we just pray that everybody would really not allow this to become a stressful season. If you have questions, send them in. And that you would really enjoy, how could it be for you to really enjoy this full season, the celebration of Christmas itself, not to be overwhelmed by the gifts, but rather to keep rejoicing at it. And we'll come back and discuss, Linda can discuss Jesse Tree of something that people can do in reminding your kids and grandkids of the beauty of the time of Christmas. So we'll have her back and can share about that. And so, Heavenly Father, we're just grateful that we have learned how to really enjoy this. We're just looking forward to it. The day of Kathy and Dan's day after Thanksgiving and the whole month of December, we just are excited that we always get to be in this special moment. And may it be special, may it be beautiful, may it be restful, may it be a time of restoration and joy. And so we pray that for everybody, that they would take to heart what you have in mind to bring them that joy, particularly during this season. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Yep, we'll see you then.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Come and See, your podcast for truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. Send us your questions and comments, and tune in tomorrow for more answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. Remember, God's will is best and none better. His truth brings peace in this world of chaos.